You guys, we have made so much progress on the house. If you look at these little orange marks on the outside of the house, they are not markers for where tie downs need to be or hold downs need to be like they were a while ago. They are new markers for my framers to go back through and just double check for any shear test. Your shear test consists of, you need a certain quantity of nails, and then they can't be too deep in. So some people think just shoot that into that wood, get it in there. That's the problem. If you do that, you reduce the holding power of that nail and piece of wood. So those are spots where it's either too deep or not enough, and so he's making the guys go back over through it. But problem number one is it has been negative temperatures for the past 2 days. Monday was negative 18, yesterday was negative 5, today it is 5 degrees. 5 whole degrees, so heat wave. But if you are in any way familiar with diesels, when diesel fuel gets too cold, it will gel and it doesn't want to run. So super fun. Oh, that battery is. Woo. We're gonna have to hook that up to a charger or something, because that battery is just not gonna do anything today. Well, we have resorted to some drastic measures to get this tractor heated up. This thing is just not even wanting to crank. And it's on this power. I mean, it should be just cranking like mother, but no bueno. It's just not gonna do it. Over the course of the weekend, over 18 inches of snow fell here in the valley. And this last little bit didn't quite have its roof. Hopefully, this is the last time we're shoveling the inside of this house. You guys will have to bear with the audio here, but on this layout, this is S105, and the reason it's S1 is because it is a structural blueprint page we're looking at right here, and this is the main floor. And if you're looking, you'll see that all these blue are what we call shear walls. This wall, you can kind of see it lines up with the staircase. It is a shear wall inside the house. These are shear walls on the exterior of the house. Inside those shear walls, the engineers called out a few specs that we got most of them, but there was a few we didn't. So we technically didn't fail, but he said, hey, I think you need to reset and we'll finish your shear inspection tomorrow. That's okay. One of the things that we had to correct was on any seam on a shear wall where your sheeting is on the seam, it can't be sitting on just a 2x4. It has to be sitting on two 2x4s, and it has to be double nailed all the way down. So there was a few that we had to take care of. This one was one of them, which the electrical was in the way, so we have to take care of that. This one was one of them, but luckily there was no electrical running through this wall, so we're good. Another one was here on this wall, and so there was electrical involved. This is an interior shear wall, and so this had to be sheeted with plywood as well for racking on the house. And because I got the cart before the horse, I did the electrical before the sheeting was on, which is nice, but I didn't realize sheeting had to be there. So they were able to make the cutout on this one okay, but when they made the cutout on that one, they nipped my box and my wire. So we'll rerun that. That is a small hazard that you run into when you start running electrical or HVAC before the framing is all the way done. But for how far advanced we are with the electrical in this house, these little kind of problems that we run into are just, they're easy. They're chump change compared to the time we've saved just being able to keep moving things forward. So for instance, this floor is 90% wire. This roof line got set just on Monday, and the weekend came and there was a ton of snow, so that's why I had to shovel it all out. But hey, they straightened that one out for me. All right, those guys are amazing. That can got hit pretty hard, and because it got hit hard, I knew I was gonna have to straighten it out, but because they were working in this area still, I didn't want to string any wire because I didn't want any of the junctions in the wire to be tugged on. So I can adjust the can light or kind of tweak it back to being straight, that's no problem. But the electrical wire, I didn't want to bugger with too much, where this was clearly an area that they were nowhere near being done. They're done now, so now I can start pulling the wire back. Although this is a beautiful, beautiful sunrise. right now. The valley just looks incredible. Oh, those mountains. It is 0 degrees out here, and my tractor does not have an engine block warmer on it, and sometimes the battery wears down before it gets started. This one does have a new warmer on it, but it only does us good if the other end of this cord is plugged in, which none of us checked last night. Oh, I feel like an idiot. So we're gonna get that one warming up, see if we can get it to start. I'm gonna hook up my truck to my tractor, see if we can jump start it. Yeah, 0 degree mornings. And I know the rest of the country right now is probably going through a similar thing. It is cold. You have to power these heaters, and you don't need a lot of power, but you need enough. And this is my new toy. This is a Rockpals 1300 watt portable power pack. And right now it is pumping out enough juice to run this fan and to run this heater. So once we start getting the heat run to it, we can turn the propane on, it'll get a little bit louder. But since this is so far away from the house, and I don't want to take away from any of the extension cords that the house is using, I'm using this guy, this Rockpals portable power. This is so nice to have on hand. What's cool is this thing can actually run my power tools if I need them as well for portable power. So I will leave a link in the description for this guy. And the cool part is that fan is only running, what, 78 watts? It's not pulling a lot of power at all. This thing can go all day like that. There we go, I can feel the heat already. It's putting the heat up into that oil tank. Fantastic. We're gonna go get a board and set it right here. That's amazing. That's a lot of work to get it started, but at least having these tools makes it go a lot faster. If not, you are dragging everything out there. What is the easiest way to build a chimney without being on a roof that's covered in snow? You build a temporary roof in your house. I think we'll keep it. It's nice. It's permanent, you know? This is built at the same pitch as the roof, which is why they set it that way, so that these can be built identical, and then they can be kind of unnailed and taken upstairs. So it's just kind of a plug and place rather than trying to drag all this material up into the house. What I thought was cool is I asked him, how'd you get the dimensions on this? Because we know what the overall dimensions of the chimneys need to be, but how'd you get this? Because when you angle it, it changes. So they built that level one, put it at the top of the board, went out level, and then made level marks all the way around. Those were the new dimensions for this slanted board, and then it goes up from there. So we had our shear inspection today, and he has passed us with flying colors. We had a few things we had to fix from yesterday. So yesterday was, I mean, I guess you could call it a fail, and today was a pass. But realistically, most of the time an inspector shows up to your house, it's very rare you're gonna get 100% the first time, because there's just little details that you sometimes miss. And that's okay. They're pretty good about coming back. They're not like, oh, you're failed, whatever. They just say, hey, you know what, let's, you take care of these little issues. I'll come back and show it. We'll be good. So he came back. We are good to wrap this house. So wrapping the house means the visqueen can go away and we will be sealed in until windows come. Hey, you guys remember a few minutes ago where I just said this was done, the can lights were in and we could wire them now? That ceiling is gone. I will explain why. That is where we just were. And that had an eave on the house that wraps around and wraps under this balcony as well. And that eave lines up with this eave. And it looks really cool. When we ordered the trusses, they said, we can't make it line up, but we can get it pretty close. So we built it that way, trusses all, and it really just wasn't lining up at all along there. Now, I don't think that was a fault for the truss company necessarily. I think it's just the angles, they couldn't make it work. My framer said, I don't like it. So he came and grabbed me and said, hey, what do you think? Then I called the real boss, my wife, Bonnie, and say, hey, is this something we can live with? Or is this something we really want to make sure is right up front? And we stewed on it for a minute, and she said, no, I think we need to change it. So we are biting the bullet. That means we have to eat the time, we have to eat the cost of those trusses, and then we have to buy lumber because it will be hand framed from here on out. So those eaves just became a very expensive part of the house. But I will say this, when it comes to building a home, especially a home you know you're going to be in for a long time, and if it's what we consider a custom home, which this is, make sure the homeowner is content with what you're doing, because the last thing you want is the homeowner to move in and be like, I hate this about the house. What were we thinking? So I'm going to tell you this. If you're building a home and it's custom, don't be scared to make changes. I know you're thinking to yourself, hey, I don't want to spend the extra money. I don't want to incur any more cost on this. Think a little more long-term on that. I would rather save money somewhere else on the house, on something that's changeable, whereas something that is like that on the exterior of the home that is not changeable later on. So keep that in mind. Be willing to make those changes if you want to. If you're not, that's fine. Just know it's just the way it is for the rest of your life here at that home or whatever it's going to be. If you guys like today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And if you're enjoying this home build, make sure you're hitting that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the videos we are putting up. And I will link the playlist of the entire new house build down below so you can go check that out as well. Until next time, we'll see you guys later. Bye, guys. Oh, I feel like an idiot.